So, from jump, I'm not diagnosed as autistic. Let's get that out of the way. I'm also not trying to diagnose myself with this video. So while I think the signs are probably there, and a lot of people in my life agree with me on that kind of idea, the goal is not to, like I said, diagnose myself or act like this is a diagnosis, or basically take the job of mental health workers and like doctors and stuff like that. We've talked about, we as in my therapist and I, have talked about the possibility of diagnosis. It's an insurance thing. Insurance would require me to only do ABA therapy once I'm diagnosed, and then I can no longer talk about anything else in therapy. It must be autism related and it must be ABA work. And in all honesty, even if I am autistic, I don't know how much a diagnosis would even help me in my daily life. But I just bring this up to kind of point out the fact that, like, no, I'm not diagnosed, and I'm not really seeking to be diagnosed anytime soon, but there are reasons for that. And again, my therapist brought it up like completely organically. We were just talking about completely other separate things going on in my life, and they were like, are you by chance autistic? Because that might be part of what's going on here. And I was like, I've never been diagnosed. So I'm gonna take the RADS, our autism test. Basically, I just want to compare what my score looks like as opposed to somebody who I'm pretty sure is not autistic. Again, not trying to diagnose anybody. We don't know for sure. I just think this is fun. All in good fun. Everybody relax, please. So let's actually get into the taking the test part of the video. All right, here we go. So we're gonna use this one. This is embraceautism.com/RADSR. This one, it was published in 2020, but it has been updated this year. All right, here we have scoring, threshold score and maximum score. The threshold for what they would deem as possibly autistic. 65 plus indicates you're likely autistic. As no neurotypical scored above 64 research. Damn, I didn't know that. Under 65 means you're most likely not autistic. And no single test is conclusive. Again, it's still just an online test. It's not end all be all. This is 80 questions though, so I hope I can go over it kind of fast. Let's go. Oh, damn, okay. Please read each statement below and choose the answer that best fits your experience during social interaction. I'm not gonna sit here, there are 80 questions, so I'm not gonna sit here and talk about every single fucking one. Or I might and just cut it all out, because I have a tendency to say I'm not gonna do that and then do it anyway. But the goal here is to just try and like see how different Daniel and I answer the questions. Should I move this over a little bit so that's easier to see? It's better. Yeah, that's a lot better. I am a sympathetic person. Sure. I often use words and phrases from movies and TV in conversation. True. I'm often surprised when others tells me I've been rude. Very true. Sometimes I talk too loudly or too softly and I'm not aware for it. So that's a weird one because, like I said, I have all these headphones, so sometimes I can talk too loudly because of that. I have been told very often though that I talk pretty quietly, so I guess we're gonna go with true. I don't know how to act in social situations. This is a weird one because it's not that I don't know how to act, it's that maybe my natural state is kind of weird. I will say I'm always incredibly awkward in social situations. I'll put that as true then. I can't put myself in other people's shoes. I definitely can do that, I feel. I also feel like when I was young also, because that was a big thing that made me actually really dislike the things that were being taught to me in the Catholic Church when I was young, was being like, the way you're talking about people makes me feel really weird because I feel like people shouldn't be talked about or treated in this way. I have a hard time figuring out what some phrases mean, like you are the apple of my eye. This is a hard one for me to pick because my mom tried very, very, very hard to make sure that everyone in my family, not just me, was not even well read, but like she prided herself almost on the fact that we read a lot and we read above our reading level. So I read so much that I just kind of naturally learned what these mean are. I'm gonna say never true. Figuring out what some phrases mean, like you are the apple of my eye. If it's asking me like why does somebody being an apple in your eye make them somebody you like, yeah, no, I don't get that at all. But like generally I mean you're the apple of my eye. I know that means like you're like somebody I like, and that I guess I don't actually know what it means now that I think about it. You're the apple of my eye, like I can use it in an example in a sentence, but I can't tell you exactly what it means. It's like another word for saying sweetheart. It's like I like you, right? I guess I'll put that. I'm just gonna leave it as never because like I know even though I cannot tell you what this means, I could use it like in an example, which I feel like I can do for a lot of other things too. So I'm gonna leave it there. I only like to talk to people who share my special interests. I don't like to talk to people in general, even if they have my special interests, but I'm way more willing to talk to somebody who does share them. So we'll go true now and when I was young. I focus on detail rather than the overall idea. I don't like any of these kinds of questions because I really don't know what they mean. Details rather than overall idea. I'm not really sure how to answer this one. I'm just gonna say say true only now, because I really don't have a lot of examples from my childhood when that would even make sense. And I guess I can say that for myself for right now, or like currently in my life. I always notice how food feels in my mouth. It's more important to me than the taste. I wish they had the strongly agree, slightly disagree scale on this kind of stuff, because it's not the most important thing. Like, it's not more important than how it tastes, but it is a massive factor. You know what I mean? I think this is going to have to be true because I can love food, like a type of food, very, very much. And if the texture is weird or different, it'll put me off that food forever. For example, when I was growing up, my family went out to eat a lot of the time, especially like if my stepdad was getting picked up from the airport. This particular story that I'm about to tell. So we went to a restaurant for breakfast in order to get to the airport in time to pick him up. So we went to a restaurant that we've been to 1,000 times before. It's just like a little fast food restaurant, it's a chain fast food restaurant. So it's the same food. It's the same food in between every single one. And then this one time I was eating my preferred food that I like from this place, and it had like this weird like chewy texture to it, which is completely different than any time I'd ever eaten it before. And from that day on, I was like, I'm never eating this food again. So I'm gonna say true now and true when I was young. I just wish it was worded differently, because it's not more important. I feel, I don't know, weird one. I miss my best friends or family when we're apart for a long time. I hate this question so much because I tell Daniel a lot of the time that I think cabin fever would never affect me. I think I would be perfectly okay being alone in a cabin for like a year, truly. But I do miss friends. Obviously, I like my friends and I like Daniel, obviously. So like I do miss them when they're not here. So it's a weird one. Again, I wish I had that like scaled thing. I'm gonna say true only now, because honestly, growing up, I don't think I had that many friends in general. So I don't think I really missed them. Sometimes I offend others by saying what I'm thinking, even if I don't want to. Absolutely. I only like to think and talk about a few things that interest me. This is unfortunately true. I wish it wasn't. This is something like I'll be on like one topic for such a long time and it does truly like consume my thoughts. I got really, really into the video game Signalis recently, and sometimes for a week, that's all I can think about. All I can think about is like Signalis stuff. It helps that Signalis is a very dense and heavy and impactful game to help keep me, that on it. But also mouthwashing. I had a huge mouthwashing kick for like a year. I'd rather go out and eat in a restaurant by myself than with someone I know. I wouldn't want to go eat at a restaurant more often than not my vibe. True only now, I definitely wouldn't want to go when I was younger. I don't like being by myself, like in weird areas. But like I said, I'd rather it depends on someone I know. Like if Daniel's there with me, absolutely. If it's just like somebody from work, probably not. I cannot imagine what it would be like to be someone else. This is very similar to the shoes question, right? I'm gonna say true because I feel like it's different. I can put myself into somebody else's shoes and think like if I was that person, I feel like that would negatively affect me, but I don't know, it's a weird one. I cannot imagine what it would be like to be somebody else. I don't think I could, because I've had these kinds of thoughts before, like if I was different, like how would that like change my life, and how would I come to a different like consensus about like my morals and stuff, and I try not to think about that too often because it's not really helpful or useful. I'm not sure about that one, but I'll just put that as true. I have been told that I'm clumsy or uncoordinated. I've not been told that. I have noticed that about myself, so I'm gonna say never. Because I also did a lot of like figure skating and dancing, so I was not particularly uncoordinated with that kind of stuff. Others consider me odd or different. I mean, yeah. I don't know, when I was young, I had other shit going on, so I don't know if the young part matters, so I'll say now. I understand when friends need to be comforted. I think so. I think I'm going to say truly only now, because I think I got way better at it. I don't think I was very good at it when I was younger. I had to actively work on it. There was a time when I was in college and my roommate had a complete breakdown. I didn't even know she was upset for the whole several months that we had been rooming together. I didn't realize she was upset about something. So when she had a breakdown, I was like, oh shit, fuck, what's going on? So, I'm very sensitive about the way the clothes feel. Yes, it's so much more important to me how they look. I don't give a fuck how they look. They have to be comfortable. True only now and true when I was young. Absolutely true when I was young. I have it off camera on purpose because it's got my dead name on it, but I have a picture up there that my mom used to harass me with because I wouldn't change clothes. It's the same outfit I wore for like several years straight, and she printed off like a little picture of me and she would harass me with it. It's a whole thing. So definitely both. I like to copy the way that certain people speak and act. It helps me appear more normal. I don't do that. I don't speak normally, and that's fine with me. Fucking figure it out. It's on you. I definitely don't like to copy the way people speak and act. I tend to do it just because that's what happens when you're around people for a really long time. And I never would do something... I take that back. It's not that I don't try and act more normal or more like consistent with stereotypes or expectations around people I don't really know or don't really like or don't really feel comfortable being more open with, but I don't like to do it. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I do try and be as buttoned up, let's say, around people I don't really know or trust, but it's not like I'm copying a specific person in order to appear normal, so we're gonna say never on that one. It can be very intimidating for me to talk to more than one person at the same time. That is true. I don't know how it would be when I was young. I'm not really sure at all about the young part, because I was homeschooled for all of high school, and then at middle school I was in Catholic school, so there was like 20 kids per class max, and that's in like the graduating class, not just in the one class I'm in. I don't know, not sure about that one. I have to act normal to please other people and make them like me, yes. Again, I don't know about the bottom, this one, because I just didn't act normal. I still have this attitude a little bit, except now I'm a grown-up and I have to keep my job, but I still kind of have this overall attitude is, if you don't like me and you think I'm not normal, then fuck off, leave me alone. So I'll say true only now. Now I have an adult job, so unfortunately I can't just be normal, at least my normal, and people take me seriously. Now I have to act in a different way that isn't me in order to keep my job or get a job, you know? Meeting new people is easy for me. No, I hate meeting new people. I get highly confused when someone interrupts me from what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about something, I don't know if highly confused, but I lose my train of thought pretty easily. Highly confused when someone interrupts me when I'm talking about. I don't know if it's highly confused. I will say I like you lose my train of thought or something. I actually think I'm gonna say never for this one, because I think the opposite happens. I'll be talking about something, someone will interrupt me, and then I'll just go back to talking about whatever I was talking about. Not on purpose. I'm just excited and I want to talk about it. It's difficult for me to It's difficult for me to understand how other people are feeling when we are talking. Oh, definitely when I was a kid, unless you're like actively screaming at me. To be fair, a lot of the communication in my house was just being yelled at, so I don't know, how much of that factors in. It's an interesting one. I guess it depends. What I'm getting hung up on specifically on this question is if tone or what the words they're saying, because if people are saying words that express feeling stressed or frustrated, I feel like I can grab onto that very easily. But if somebody is just saying the words, like just saying words, because like examples are coming to mind where like people were joking and I didn't get the joke. There was one time when I was working at the bakery, or a bakery, I've worked at a few. I was working at a bakery and some of the a packaging guy came by and was like asking us if we were done making the bread yet. And then he said something about, oh my god, the fucking bakers are always late. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, so I went to my manager and I was like, is this guy mad at me? Like, what did I do? And she's like, no, that was a joke. So I don't know. I'll guess I'll go true. I like having conversations with several people. No, don't do that. I take things too literally. Yes. When I was young, oh yeah, okay. I have one very specific thought that comes to mind, but it's actually really depressing, so I'm not going to talk about it. It's very difficult for me to understand when someone is embarrassed or jealous. Jealous? I don't know. Jealous is a weird one. It's one of those things where I don't think I've ever seen anyone ever be jealous ever, which I don't know if I'm just surrounding myself with people who just don't get jealous very easily, or if I'm missing something. Embarrassed, I think I'm a little bit better out, but it's not because looking at them I can tell. I think it's because I can logic out, like, would I feel embarrassed in this situation? You know what I mean? I'm gonna say, I also don't know how to put this in the idea of me as a kid, because I don't remember, honestly. I'm gonna say, but true only now. Some ordinary textures that do not bother others feel very offensive. Very true. Again, this younger one is one that's hard for me to remember and grasp. But I think if we go back to like the clothes example of me very specifically only wearing certain clothes, I get extremely I'm gonna say actually for this one, true only now, because I can't think of a very specific example from when I was a little kid. I get extremely upset when the way I like to do things suddenly changed. Yes, again, I can't really think of anything very specific about younger, can't think of any very specific examples, so I'm just gonna say now. I have never wanted or needed to have what other people call an intimate relationship. Well, that's just not true. I'm gonna say true when I was younger than 16, because that was 100% not on my mind at all when I was a little kid. It is difficult for me to start and stop a conversation. I need to keep going until I am finished. I don't know if I've ever not finished a conversation, because if I'm having a conversation, I'm going there with a purpose, and then I leave when that purpose is done, and that purpose is normally like 20 words long max. it is very difficult for me to start a conversation, and I do feel really awkward. I have a really hard time understanding when a conversation is over if I'm not like have a goal, or even if I do have a goal, a lot of the times people will like explain pleasantries because that's the normal human thing to do, and I don't know when it's time to leave. Right? So I'll be at work and I'll walk over to someone and I'm like, hey, can you do this thing real quick for me? And they're like, yeah, sure, but then they keep talking about like their weekend or something, and I'm like, yeah, that's nice, and they just keep talking, and I'm like, can I leave? Like, is it rude to leave? Like, I don't want to tell you like, hey, stop talking. You know? So I'll say true. I don't know about when I was young. I always had issues starting conversations, so I'll put that one there. I speak with a normal rhythm. How would I fucking know? I'm gonna say sure. The same sound, color, or texture can suddenly change from very sensitive to very dull. Sure. I think also more often the other way around. Like things that were kind of boring are now like a big deal. Maybe that's not even what they meant. The phrase, I've got you under my skin. I've got you under... What? I've got you under my skin. That's not the phrase, is it? I don't think that's the correct phrase. You're getting under my skin, I think is the correct phrase. Makes me uncomfortable. It does make me uncomfortable. Don't like the idea of being under someone's skin, but I've got you under my skin. I don't think that's a real phrase. That phrase itself doesn't make any sense. Sometimes the sound of a word or high-pitched noise can be painful to my ears. Yes. I'm trying to think of when I was a kid. I can't remember a specific situation of when I was a kid when that might have happened. I'm an understanding type of person. I think that's true about myself, so I'm just gonna say true. Like I said, I think I take it pretty seriously, the way who people are and the way they're treated and that kind of stuff. I do not connect with characters in movies and cannot feel what they feel. I'm gonna say true, because it's not like, I don't know, these questions are worded really weirdly sometimes. People talk a lot about in like media, like seeing yourself represented is like a big deal, and I agree. I do think that is important, and I do think seeing people that represent me, like specifically like non-binary or queer people, is important and interesting. I don't feel myself like embodying that character like I've heard some people describe. Like, let's talk about like the mouthwashing example. Love that game so much, and it means a lot to me very personally, and I connect with the themes and messages, but not like Anya specifically. I guess I don't really know how else to explain it. Like, the mouthwashing video game means a lot to me very specifically, and I do connect with the core element and core themes and the idea of what this game is trying to say to me, but I don't like put myself like I am Anya. Like, I don't feel like I am Anya. I cannot tell when someone is flirting with me. I don't think people flirt with me ever, just straight up, so I can see in my mind the exact detail of things that I'm interested in. I don't know what they mean by exact detail, but I think that's pretty true. I keep lists of things that interest me even when they have no practical use. Oh yeah, 100%. I have spreadsheets and spreadsheets and spreadsheets of the nail polishes I have, even though that is completely unnecessary. I could go pick up a bottle and look at the name. Like, I have spreadsheets because I think it's fun. I also have like lists in my names of like just words I like, or like words that I find interesting. Train schedules is a fun one. Calendar dates is also very funny. When I feel overwhelmed by my senses, I have to isolate. Yeah, I definitely like to be alone. I think I'm also just a highly introverted person, so I don't know how much of that bleeds into this kind of stuff. But definitely, if I am having a lot going on, I'll lock myself in a room and be like, this is it for my day. Again, that whole idea of like, I don't think cabin fever would really affect me that much. I like to talk things over with my friends. I don't really know what this means. Like, yes, I like to talk to people. I don't really understand that one. I cannot tell if someone is interested or bored with what I'm saying. Yeah, again, no concept of what that would be like when I was a kid. I just straight up, I didn't actually talk to people a lot when I was a kid, so I don't really know how to answer a lot of these, like also when I was young type stuff. It can be very hard to read someone's face, hand, and body movements when they're talking. I wish they had a not sure option. I mean, we'll go with sure. The same thing, like clothes temperatures can feel different to me at different times, absolutely. I feel very comfortable with dating or being in social situations. I hardly ever feel comfortable in social situations, but there are times when I'm kind of like fine with it. Again, if I'm with a lot of people that I like and know, or we're doing something that I like. Dating, I'm way more comfortable and confident in. I think that's because I am so goal-oriented, which is a funny way to say, but basically like, if I'm dating someone, it's because it's the express purpose of that's what I wanted to happen, which is like a weird way to say it, but like, I'm not dating Daniel because it magically happened. I'm dating Daniel because I specifically was like, I've got a crush on him. Let me talk to him and figure out if like this is a crush that'll go away or a crush that'll stay. And then if I get to the point where it's like, yeah, these feelings are like valid and real and they're not like just like a silly little thing, like these are actual true feelings I have, then I asked him out on a date. Like, I don't know. That one's weird to me. I'm not sure how to answer that one. I try to be as helpful as I can when others tell me their personal problems. That's true. I have been told that I have an unusual voice. No, not really. Sometimes a thought or subject gets stuck in my head to talk about it, even if no one's interested. Absolutely. So many times I'll come home and I'll just talk about shit that Daniel does not give a fuck about, but like if I don't talk about it, I feel like I'm gonna explode. Like Signalis or Inscription. A lot of video games, honestly, because that's just more of the content that I end up getting fed. But like also books and stuff. Like I talk about The King in Yellow so much. I do certain things with my hands over and over again. I mean, yeah. When I was younger, we had like a TV remote and I would go back and forth like this on the top of it so much, just like back and forth, like rub my thumb along like this smooth part of the remote. And I did it so much it like warped a little bit. Like if this is the remote and it has like these two like sharp corners, I would go like this so much on it that these corners got warped down to where they were rounded out. So absolutely. I have never been interested in what most people I know consider interesting. I mean, yeah, I had weird interests when I was in like middle school. It was Lord of the Rings, which is a little bit older than middle school. Hobbit is about middle school level, but Lord of the Rings is a little bit higher. Similarly with like ancient Greece and that kind of stuff. Like middle schoolers don't give a fuck about that, but I did. I'm considered a compassionate type of person. I think so. Again, that young comment is a weird one because there was too much bullshit going on in my house, so hard to answer, so I'm gonna say true now. I get along with other people by following a set of specific rules that help me look normal. I don't give a fuck if I get along with people is the real thing. Here's the thing. If you don't accept me how I am, I don't care. So it's not like I force myself to get along with people by acting normal. I just act the way I act, and if you like me as a human being, then cool, we'll be friends, and if not, good riddance. Like I don't care that much. It is very difficult for me to work and function in groups. I mean, yes, as a kid, harder to say. Yeah, the younger one is a little bit harder to pinpoint down. When I'm talking to someone, it's hard to change the subject. If the other person does, I can get upset and confused. Upset is a word that I don't think applies here, or at least to me, as well as confused. I think we talked about a little bit a different question. It is hard to change subjects because I enjoy so much about what I'm talking about, not because I'm gonna be confused or upset. Like I'm not gonna be mad at somebody for changing the subject, so I'm gonna say no. When I'm talking to someone, it is hard to change the subject. Yes, I can get upset and confused. No. You see the difference? Sometimes I have to cover my ears to block out painful noises. 100%. I didn't do it as a kid. Yeah, I didn't really do it as a kid, but I definitely do it now. Like I'll be at work and I'll be like, oh my god, shut the fuck up, right? I can chat and make small talk with people. Sure. I don't like to do it, but I sure can. Sometimes things that should feel painful are not. For instance, when I hurt myself or burn my hand on the stove, should feel painful and are not. I don't think so. I'm trying to think of like any instance at all where someone's like, that looks like I should have hurt, and I'm like, eh. I do have like a little bit of a delayed reaction to pain. Like one time we were doing some experiment when I was in science and we had to like heat up a penny for something. I don't even remember why, but we had to heat up the penny and I was so fucking stupid, but I just grabbed it and I held onto it for like 5 seconds, which is a very long time to be holding a extremely hot piece of metal. And yeah, it burned a little bit into my thumb, but it's gone now, so it obviously wasn't like a horrible injury. So I'm gonna say no. When talking to someone, I have a hard time telling when it's my turn to talk. Absolutely. I'm considered a loner. Absolutely. I usually speak in a normal tone. I feel like I do. I like things to be exactly the same day after day, and even small changes in my routine accept me. Yeah, I mean, yeah. This is one of those things where it's like, I need you to be more specific in this question. Like, what is routine? And like, I'm gonna say yes, but I just don't like the way this question's phrased. How to make friends and socialize is a mystery to me. I think socializing isn't very much of a mystery to me. You play the social game, the end. How to make friends? Sure. I just kind of let that happen as naturally as possible. I just kind of exist and vibe around, and when people come up and talk to me and they're like, we're friends, right? I'm like, sure. Definitely when I was a kid, no clue how to make friends. They just kind of appeared next to me, which is how I ended up with like my best friend when I was in middle school being like one of the most horrific bullies to me, because I was like, this girl's talking to me, that's a friend. It calms me to spin around or lock in a chair when I'm feeling stressed. Sure. Spinning in chairs is always going to be fun. The phrase, he wears his heart on his sleeve, does not make sense to me. Same exact idea as the first time when I was talking about this. I know what this means. It means you just show your emotions really easily. And for this phrase specifically, I can even logic out. This is talking about wearing your heart or your emotions or your emotional core on the outside of your body. Wearing your heart on your sleeve, as in being, you know, emotionally explosive. That's not the word I'm looking for. So it does make sense to me. So I'm gonna say not true. If I am in a place where the smells, textures, if I am in a place where there are many smells, textures to feel, this is a weirdly phrased question. If I am in a place where there are many smells, textures to feel, noises or bright lights, this is a weirdly phrased question. This is how I would word it. If I'm in a place where there are too many smells, textures, noises, or bright lights, that's how I would phrase that. Like the textures to feel is weird. I feel anxious or frightened. True. It's, again, this isn't one I can like pinpoint an exact thought of when I was a child, except for maybe like times I can think of like 1 or 2 examples of when I was like at the zoo or the aquarium or something and I just wasn't vibing it. I can tell when someone says one thing but means something else. No, just fucking say what you mean. What the hell? I like to be by myself as much as I can. Yeah, I keep my thoughts stacked in my memory like they're on filing cards. I pick out the ones I need by looking through the stack and finding the right ones. Oh, this is an interesting concept because I've talked about this before with some people and they think I'm fucking crazy, but like the way my brain thinks and makes sense of like where I am, like spatial reasoning, but more like in driving, like long distances, not like around the house, but like driving long distances. I live in Texas where everything is so far spread apart that getting from like somewhere here and somewhere an hour away, like I'll have that route memorized, but not in one chunk. I'll have like sections of it memorized, almost like a video game when you get to like the edge of something and it loads out the next half of the map or the next part of the map. Like that's kind of how my brain functions a lot of the time, especially with like navigating in the car. I'll get to a certain landmark and then boom, the next part of the map, quote unquote, is like appears in my brain almost. So I have to like see specific landmarks or at least recognize an area, and then I'm like, okay, I know where I am now. I can get wherever I need to. And then like with just like memories and ideas, I can think back to like a time or a feeling or a place or a connected thought or a connected memory to like almost like work backwards to get there. That happens a lot for me, so I'm gonna say true. The same sound sometimes seems very loud or very soft, even though I know it has not changed. I'm gonna say true. Another weird thing that happens to me a lot is I'll be listening to music and sometimes I'll be listening to a song. I'm like, damn, this song feels like it's way faster than I remember it being. I enjoy spending time eating and talking with my friends. I really do not like to eat with people, especially if we're trying to talk at the same time. It's very distracting to both. It's hard for me to carry a conversation while I'm eating, and it's hard for me to eat while I'm carrying a conversation. Often, if I'm like talking to Daniel, who's somebody I love talking to him for like hours if he'll let me, and he's not like, please let me go to sleep. So if I'm talking with him but I've made myself food to eat, often the food will just go cold because I'm in the middle of talking. Or if I'm eating, we're not talking about anything, or I'm listening to him talk. But like if I'm just out with a bunch of people and we're expected to eat and talk at the same time, that's not gonna happen. Like I went out pretty recently with some of my friends to like a kind of fancy place. It was like a like fun, like let's all go splurge a little bit kind of trip. And it was like we were talking in between courses, but during the course it was like, this is what we're doing, everyone focus up. Right? I enjoy spending time eating and talking with your friends. Oh, I just read that one, so I'm gonna say not true. I can't tolerate things I dislike. Yeah, that's an absolute no. I don't like being hugged. Yeah, I don't like that at all. When I go somewhere, I have to follow a similar route. Yes. Oh my god. I have such issues changing up my route. Like this is very, very difficult for me to do. I need to use Google Maps the first like 5 or 6 times. From there, I can have it memorized. And if anybody asks me to change it ever again, I'm like, fuck. It is difficult to figure out what people expect of me. Yes, 100%. I like to have close friends. Of course. Who doesn't like to have close friends? That's a weird one. People tell me I give too much detail. I don't know if people tell me or if I just look back retroactively and go, damn, I probably didn't need to say all of that. Again, no specific ideas come to mind when I was a kid, so I'll say true now. I'm often told that I ask embarrassing questions. I don't know if that's true. Embarrassing questions? I can't think of any examples. It feels like something that I would have done more often when I was a little kid and I kind of like learned that maybe you shouldn't ask that kind of stuff, but I think that's a kid thing. I don't think that's like anything specific about me that's different than other kids. Like I feel like all kids kind of do that, so I'm gonna say no. I tend to point out other people's mistakes. Yes, is that a bad thing? Should I not be doing that? Because I definitely do. And not in a malicious way. It's not malicious, it's just like, oh yeah, that's a mistake. I like it when people point out my mistakes. Like, yes, tell me so I can fix it. I don't know, is this bad? Am I not supposed to be doing that? All right, what's the score? 159. Okay. Okay, let's do this what does my score mean thing. I am 1 point away from very strong evidence for autism. This is the mean score of autistic people, strong evidence. So I'm like 1 point away from very strong evidence for autism, but mostly technically land in this category. I think I got 164 the last time I took this test or something. To be honest, I'm not surprised. Like how I started off this video saying I'm not really surprised. Do note that no single test is conclusive. Yeah, we talked about that. Okay, here we go. Okay, so the typical language score is a 4. My language is, oh no, I think that's really bad. As social relatedness is, the typical is 31. I have 70, which doesn't feel as bad as this one, even though it is very different. Sensory or motor, oh, okay. 16 versus 44. And then circumscribed interests, 15 versus 31. Interesting. I think a bird just flew into my window. What the fuck was that? It's truly midnight here. I don't know what the fuck that was. Don't like that. One ear is coming off now. What the fuck? Okay, I'm probably gonna cut out all that math because it's only fun for me. I've been recording for an hour. I fucking knew it. I was like, I won't talk that long, and then I talked about pretty much every single question. Anyways, the goal is to put Daniel's half of the quiz or the test or whatever you want to call it in here also, but we'll see about that. I might just post it as a separate video depending on how long this cut of this part of the video shakes out to. If it shakes out to pretty long, I'm not gonna put an hour-long video out of us just taking a quiz. So it might come later. It might come after I talk about this. I guess we'll just have to see. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me in this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a nice week, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.